I'm McPherson, and I've been speedrunning Super Mario 64 for 5 years now. So it was my freshman year, and one of my favorite YouTubers, Nathaniel Bandy, came out with this race that he did with other YouTuber, TJ Henry Yoshi. I watched it and I fell in love with it. They both weren't very good at the game, but they had enough skill where it kept me interested. And so I tried speedrunning alongside them. I played the video as I played the game right next to them, and I learned how to play the game from doing that. I got better and better, and eventually I was better than both of them. I've always been the type to just want to play games as fast as possible. Run through them, get them done. It's just always been fun to me, so speedrunning is perfect for me. And Super Mario 64 was always my favorite game. When I first thought about speedrunning it appealed to me just how much different of a playing experience you have. You learn so much more about the game than you didn't already. You can do anything in any order because there are tricks that allow you to skip certain parts that you couldn't before. There's just stars that used to take 10-15 minutes that now only take a couple, and it's just a really rewarding experience. If you want to get into speedrunning, I would suggest these couple of things. First off, I would suggest, since the Nintendo 64 controller is infamously clunky and weird, I would suggest getting a Hori pad. It is very easy to use, feels the best in your hands, and it will make a lot of your tricks easier to use. The second most important thing I would say for sure is getting what's called an Usamune ROM. It is kind of hard to figure out, but it is a speedrunning tool that helps you learn how to speedrun the game. You can reset your level whenever you want, so you can restart from wherever you want to, and it just helps so that you don't have to leave the level and come back to restart just doing a trick. There's multiple different categories if you want to start speedrunning. It's important to know which one you should start off with. If you've played Super Mario 64 your whole life and are really familiar with it, you should start like how I did, with starting with 120 stars. That's getting every single star. It just gets you the most skill where you can tackle any other category after that. If you've never played Super Mario 64 before, you should definitely start with 16 star. It's a short, sweet category that teaches you the basics of Super Mario 64. My personal favorite is none of those. It's 70 star. It's just about an hour when I do it, and it is just long enough where it doesn't feel like I can't improve, but it is not too long where I get bored and it's such a time commitment. The easiest trick that I know anyone could learn when doing Super Mario 64 speedruns is a trick called Cannonless. In the stage Whomp's Fortress, there's a star where you have to blast away the wall, and to do that you have to open the cannon to blast it away, and it just takes so much time. So why don't you just clip into the wall? So all you gotta do is just grab onto a ledge, do a backflip, change the camera a little bit, punch, and then go down on the plank, and then get back up, and you collect the star, and it's really, anyone could do it. The hardest star for me that I can do is a trick called Pillarless. It's in the Pyramid Shifting Sandland stage, where you have to try and get a bomb to take you into the pyramid from the top just by clipping into it. It takes a lot of tricky movement, a lot of precision, and I die on this one constantly, and it is definitely the hardest one that I can personally do. Now, for my favorite trick, it's actually not really a trick, it's just a bunch of movement, because a lot of Super Mario 64 is fancy jumps, fancy movement, and getting to the top of the clock, for Tick-Tock Clock stage, it is one of the most fun chains of movement in the game. I love all the side flips, long jumps, back flips to get up to the top of the clock and get that star. The hardest part about speedrunning has to be the stress that comes into when you have a good pace going. Once you realize that you've been playing like a legend throughout the run, you start to just stress out and every little thing starts to go wrong, which all end up in costly mistakes that will end the run, and you will have to reset, and as always, miserable. The most rewarding part about speedrunning is honestly not even just the runs you get, but the progress you make over time. It is so satisfying to look at how you start when you first start to try and learn, and then where you end up. It's the journey that matters to me, and I think that is very satisfying to see, oh, this took me 3 hours the first time I started, and now I can do it in just over 2 hours. I think that if you are wanting to start speedrunning, it's best to start slow. You want to learn some tricks before you start, of course, so you aren't just playing the game fast. You want to have at least some skill, but you don't need to worry about being the fastest right away. You want to have time to improve slowly, because it's supposed to be a fun thing, and the slower you kind of get better at the game, the more fun you'll actually have with it, and I think fun is probably the most important part when you're speedrunning. Once you speedrun, you'll never be able to play it the same way, but I think it's more fun that way.